live about 20 miles from the city in which I work. I live out in the country, and about a short walking distance from my house is a highway, and on the corner is a 24/7 gas station. Last week, Saturday night, I went by there right before midnight to grab some Cajun peanuts. I see one car parked on the side, which is normal, usually just a guy working, and rarely any customers at the time. Do you ever feel this dread overcome you? Like you know something is wrong? Well, I walk in and don't see anyone, nobody behind the counter or in the store, so I take my time and assume they are in the bathroom or step to the back of the store. Surely, they heard the chime on the door when I came in. I'm feeling weird and uncomfortable, so I wait a minute, even though it seems like forever. So I call out, "Anyone here?" I wait a minute more and put the peanuts down and walk out the door. I checked the car parked on the side, and there wasn't anything troubling. I even glanced on the back side of the store, and there was nobody. I'm pretty uncomfortable, so I just call the police. They show up 10 to 15 minutes later, but it really did feel like an hour, and they search the place. They find the cashier dead in the men's bathroom, beaten to death. They called in for backup, asked me to recap what I experienced, and then I went home. That ain't even the fucked up part. So I get home and my dog is in the front yard pissing and just staring at me. He is an inside dog, and my front door is cracked open. My heart is racing. So I grab my dog and head back to the gas station and let the police know. They send one of their guys to search my house. Nothing is stolen or out of place, but there was a sign of forced entry. So this was last week, and about 5 hours ago I get a call from my brother who works for the county sheriff's office. Supposedly, they pulled the camera footage, and about 10 minutes before I walked into the store, someone came in, started punching on the cashier, and then dragged them to the bathroom. On the footage you can see me walk in and look around and call out, and then you see me walk out and check out the car, walk to my vehicle and make a call. About the time I'm in the vehicle, the alleged murderer walks out of the bathroom and sneaks out the back door, and before leaving the view of camera, he takes off in the general direction of my house. Fortunately, my wife was out with some friends watching Beauty and the Beast again, but I'm convinced that I missed a murderer at the gas station, and then he broke into my house. This week I had a new security system installed alongside a new front door, but I'm pretty sure whoever did this is still out there.
My story starts when I was 10 and my parents built a house in the next village. We always lived on the countryside, and my mom wanted her own house, so when a farmer gave up a field in the next village, my parents bought some ground to build their own home. So did a lot of other people. A few months passed, and when the working on our house finally began, some other people already had their houses. Whenever I visited the construction site, there was this young boy, probably my age, sitting on his bike, staring over. He wouldn't come over and talk, just watching from a distance for like half an hour, and then he would leave, to come back again later. We moved in, and I discovered that he lived in the house in the next street parallel to ours, but I could see right over, as there was just one other house between. He was outside all day riding his bike. I didn't think much of him. He usually played with the other boys from my street, Dennis. He would wait hours outside of Dennis's house until he had time to play. When I asked my mom about it, she told me the name of the boy, Jonas, and that he had some mental issues, so I should be nice. That was the first time he appeared creepy to me. Every time I came home from school, he was already waiting for Dennis. I had to walk past him and he would stare at me until I entered our house. It continued to be like that for some years until one day, where Dennis's father yelled at Jonas to get lost, that Dennis wouldn't come out to play, that Dennis doesn't want to play with him, and he should stop waiting in front of the house. When the door shut, Jonas started screaming for Dennis for 30 minutes until he gave up. Now, he started roaming the entire village. One day, when I was playing with my best friend and our younger sisters in some woods near the village, he drove past us. I tried to ignore him, but Mimi, my best friend's sister, invited him to play with us. We were building a treehouse. He came over but wasn't helpful and just talked about tanks and army jets. When we went to my best friend's place for dinner, we told him he couldn't come, but he followed us and waited for me and my sister to go back home. I'm glad she was there that day. Some more years passed, and we just randomly saw him in the streets. When I was 16, I started a job where I delivered newspapers every weekend. I had to walk the same route every Saturday, and after some weeks, I would casually walk into him during my tours. Then twice, then 3 times. He was following me and always passing my route on the same places. It made me so uncomfortable that I asked my best friend to walk the routes with me until I quit the job. Another year passed. I turned 18 without having heard from Jonas. My mom told me he was in a home for mentally challenged teens where a friend of hers worked. That's why we wouldn't see him around. Until one day in June. I walked to the next village because there was a store. I had no car at the time. I needed some stuff and was carrying a rather heavy bag. It's not that far from the store to my home, and I always use a shortcut. Some stairs up to the village next to a pasture that was close to the wood where we had our treehouse. You had to cross a river, and from the stairs you could see the entire valley. It's a stunning view, and I love just sitting there enjoying nature. So when I came closer to the river, I noticed someone approaching me and soon realized it was Jonas. He came closer to my direction. I greeted him, as it was considered impolite not to greet here, and went my way. When I crossed the river, I felt this odd tingle on my back, and turned around. He was standing right where I greeted him, staring at me. I turned around and entered the short way through the woods to the stairs. As I looked through the trees, he was still standing at the exact same spot. I felt the need to hurry. I reached the stairs, looked back, and he was still standing there, but suddenly he started running into my direction. I froze for a minute as I couldn't believe what was happening right now. When he entered this shortcut, I gained control over my legs and ran up the stairs. 2 women with a dog were walking by. I just said hi and continued running home without looking back. 1 hour later, someone knocked on our door and my mom opened it. She called my name and asked me to come at the door. Some people were here to see me. I recognized the 2 women with a dog. One was apparently the mom of a classmate from grade school. That's why she knew where I lived. They had brought a man who told me that he is a police officer, also living in the same village, and the 2 women saw Jonas running after me, that I looked scared and they were worried. If I knew who he is and if he did something, if police should take action. I told him that
Jonas just scared me by suddenly running after me. Nothing happened.
He gave me his phone number and the address. If something comes up, I should tell him right away. 2 weeks later, I received a message via ICQ from an unknown user. He started insulting me, asking for nudes, threatening me, then telling me that he is sad and lonely and just too scared to talk to me in person. I printed the chat logs and went to the police officer's house. He took them and said he would check it out. It turned out that it was in fact Jonas who did it. He had to go to a psychiatric home, and I haven't heard from him or seen him since then. I now live in another city and hope that won't ever happen again.